Saint Augustine commentary on the Gospel of John, chapter 8, verse 21 to 25, Tractatus 38, following. He did not take away hope, but foretold delay. For, at the time when the Lord spoke this to the disciples, they were not able to come whither he was going, yet were they to come afterwards. But these men never, to whom in his foreknowledge he said, You shall die in your sin. But on hearing these words, as is usual with those whose thoughts are carnal, who judge after the flesh, and hear and apprehend everything in a carnal way, they said, Will he kill himself because he said, Whither I go, you can't come? Foolish words, and overflowing with stupidity. For why could they not go whither he would have proceeded had he killed himself? Were not they themselves to die? What then means, will he kill himself because he said, Whither I go you can't come? If he spoke of man's death, what man is there that does not die? Therefore, by whither I go, he meant not the going to death, but whither he was going himself after death. Such then was their answer, because they did not understand. And what said the Lord to those who savored of the earth? And he said unto them, You are from beneath. For this cause you savor of the earth, because you lick dust like serpents. You eat earth, what does it mean? You feed on earthly things, you delight in earthly things, you gape after earthly things. You have not heart for what is above. You are from beneath, I am from above. You are of this world, I am not of this world. For how could he be of the world by whom the world was made? All that are of the world come after the world, because the world preceded. And so man is of the world. But Christ was first and then the world. And since Christ was before the world, before Christ there was nothing, because in the beginning was the Word. All things were made by him. Chapter 1, verse 1 to 3. He therefore was of that which is above. But of what that is above, of the air, perish the thought. There the birds wing their flight. Of the sky that we see, again I say, perish the thought. It is there that the stars and sun and moon revolve. Of the angels, neither is this to be understood. By him who made all things were the angels also made. Of what then above is Christ? Of the Father himself. Nothing is above that God who begot the Word, equal with himself, co-eternal with himself, only begotten, timeless. That by him time's own foundations should be laid. Understand then Christ as from above, so as in your thought to get beyond everything that is made. The whole creation together, every material body, every created spirit, everything in any way subject to change. Rise above all as done was, in order to reach this. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Therefore said he, I am from above, you are of this world. I am not of this world. I said therefore unto you, that you shall die in your sins. He has explained to us, brethren, what he wished to be understood by, you are of this world. He said therefore, in fact, you are of this world, because they were sinners, because they were unrighteous, because they were unbelieving, because they savored of the earthly. For was it your opinion as regards the holy apostles? What difference was there between the Jews and the apostles? As great as between darkness and light, as between faith and unbelief, as between piety and impiety, as between hope and despair, as between love and avarice. Surely the difference was great. What then, because there was such a difference, were the apostles not of the world? If your thoughts turn to the manner of their birth, and whence they came, inasmuch as all of them had come from Adam, they were of this world. But what said the Lord himself to them? I have chosen you out of the world. John chapter 15, verse 19. Those then who were of the world became not of the world, and began to belong to him by whom the world was made. But these men continued to be of the world, to whom it was said, You shall die in your sins. Let none then, brethren, say, I am not of this world. Whoever you are, as a man, you are of this world. But he who made the world came to you and delivered you from this world. If the world delights you, you wish always to be unclean. But if this world no longer delights you, you are already clean or pure. And yet, if through some infirmity the world still delight you, let him who cleanses dwell in you, and you too shall be clean. But if you are once clean, you will not continue in the world, neither will you hear what was heard by the Jews. You shall die in your sins. For we are all born with sin. We have all in living added to that wherein we were born, and have since become more of the world than when we were born of our parents. And where should we be had he not come, who was wholly free from sin, to expiate all sin? And so because in him the Jews believed not, they deservedly heard the sentence, You shall die in your sins. For in no way could you who were born with sin be without sin. And yet, said he, if you believe in me, although it is still true that you were born with sin, yet in your sin you shall not die. The whole misery then of the Jews was just this, not to have sin, but to die in their sins. The whole misery then of the Jews was just this. From this it is that every Christian ought to seek to escape. Because of this we have recourse to baptism. On this account do those whose lives are in danger from sickness or any other cause become anxious for help. For this also is the sucking child carried by his mother with pious hands to the church, that he may not go out into the world without baptism, and die in the sin wherein he was born. Most wretched surely the condition, and miserable the lot of these men who heard from those truth-speaking lips, You shall die in your sins. But he explains whence this should befall them. For if you believe not that I am he, you shall die in your sins. I believe, brethren, that among the multitude who listened to the Lord, there were those also who should yet believe.